We're going to go ahead and get things underway. That's okay. It'll work. So welcome everyone to the Putting Patients First conference. This is BC's annual conference about patient experiences and health research. So I'm Kim McGrail, and I'm a professor at UBC in the Center for Health Services and Policy Research. I'm also Scientific Director and CEO of Health Data Research Network Canada, which is one of the groups across Canada that's funded under the CIHR's Strategy for Patient-Oriented Research. I'm honored to help with today's event, and I'll just be with you for a bit this morning. I'd like to acknowledge that we have about 470 people participating in this event, many of course in this room, and then a lot more who are participating online. Thank you for making this work a priority and spending time with us today. So we're all here today in this room on traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh people. I think it's important to acknowledge this land and also acknowledge our respective individual and collective roles in the process of reconciliation with our Indigenous friends, colleagues, and neighbors. I personally, I look around at what's happening in the world today and really value my own journey on learning and reconciliation in part, and not only for this, but in part because of the ability to learn other points of views, other worldviews, acknowledge other peoples in the ways that we interact with the world and how that can affect others, sometimes in ways that we don't predict, sometimes in ways that we should learn to avoid and do better. So I welcome going on this journey with all of you, and I really hope that the next few years help us make as much progress as it feels like we've made over the last few years. We do have Elder Roberta Price, who is going to be providing us with an opening prayer and ceremony. She is a bit delayed in coming, so what we're going to do is proceed with some remarks from people here and then come back to that important opening. And for those who have had the privilege of hearing Elder Roberta speak previously, you'll know what I mean when I say that she's going to help us get this day off to a really good start. In the meantime, I just want to say a couple things to introduce our first speaker. Patients' needs over time have often been overlooked in health research. And that's why the federal government's approach, guided by people's lived experiences, is so important. And this is the Strategy for Patient-Oriented Research, which has now been in place for many years, and thankfully is getting to the point, I think, where we understand that this is something that we need to do, and what we're working on is how to do it more fulsomely and better. It's not a conversation anymore about whether this is something we should be doing. It's really great to be in a position where we finally have gotten to that. So today's provincial event is led by BC's patient-oriented research community and is a good demonstration of their shared work. So I'm pleased to be here today with Victoria Schuckel, who's the Executive Director for Research and Technology at the BC Ministry of Health. And I would say that Victoria Schuckel has been living and breathing and supporting patient-oriented research before it had a name and any funding within CIHR. So it's a perfect, wonderful person to have with us today. We have Monica Mamut, who is Director of the BC Support Unit, Anni Rychtera, who is, Swapnil, Shah, and Sherri, Mytopher, who are representatives of the patient partners in the province. So first, we'll hear from Victoria. She's a champion for patient engagement and research, as I've said. She is Executive Director for BC Ministry of Health Research and Technology branch. And in that particular role, she advises organizations in the patient-oriented research community, including the Chronic Disease Networks, the BC Support Unit, and Health Data Research Network. So I'm very pleased to welcome Victoria here today. Come on up, Victoria.
Thank you, Kim. Good morning. I am very pleased to extend to each of you a warm welcome from the Ministry of Health. I am, as Kim said, a proud participant in and a champion for patient-oriented research. I want to express my gratitude for each of you being here in person and virtually to attend Putting Patients First 2023, Changing Landscapes and Learning Together for Sustainable Patient-Oriented Research. I also want to just briefly acknowledge, but Kim has done a lovely land acknowledgement, just to acknowledge this land that we are on, the ancestral unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. And yeah, you said it beautifully about the journey that we're all on, so thank you, Kim. It has been a privilege and a labor of love for ministry staff to be directly involved in many parts of, with you and with many parts of SPORE, which include the Primary Care Research Network, CanSolve, Child Bright, the BC Support Unit, Health Data Research Network Canada. Rewarding Success, for those of you who might remember that one, and the National SPORE Refresh Advisory Committee, and many other SPORE projects, operating grants that we have been pleased to support and be a part of. We often describe these units and networks, etc., as members of the SPORE family. And each of the entities has unique achievements, characteristics, and challenges. And all have impressive and surprising parts when you get to know them. But it can be difficult to understand and appreciate what the entirety of SPORE really is. So this conference, I think, is going to go a good way to continue to spread and develop knowledge, our knowledge and awareness, and the opportunity to cultivate new relationships so that we can figure out the interconnectedness and able to have even more impact than we're having in our unique activities. So the process that SPORE's been on has been critical, and I would say the ministry is deeply interested in that process because it's been a paradigm shift for the research community, for the patients, and we continue to be really looking ahead to see what kind of impact can we have. Our hopes for SPORE haven't changed. We look at each grant, each entity as an opportunity to creatively mobilize work among healthcare clinicians, administrators, researchers, and patient advisors. Sorry, did I say academics? Researchers, I did say that, yeah. To improve the quality and relevance of research that's going to eventually contribute to the better health of British Columbians for Canadians. That's what we're doing, all these amazing things for the purpose of that, ultimately having that aim. So this is an ambitious goal, and I'm just going to quickly say that a couple years ago at a Patients First, Putting Patients First conference here, a panel of vice presidents from the health authorities were asked, well, how can patient-oriented research actually, how can you use it? What can we do to make you use this great work that we're doing? And what one of the vice presidents said was, okay, the health system is under a lot of pressure. The way that the system works between the health authorities and the ministry is that the ministry describes annually some key areas of priority. And these are documented it's publicly, you can Google them, you can find them. They're the service plans, they're the mandate letters. And those set before the health authorities some pretty clear expectations. And I would encourage you, whatever you choose to do with that information, you may choose to do nothing with it, but I encourage you to check it out because you may be surprised that some of the work that you're doing, if you didn't know it, is actually aligned with things that we're trying to do. So for example, these are just 3 out of many, but these are 3 examples that are in the current service plan. Ensure culturally safe and equitable cancer care through liaisons and care coordinators by delivering supportive care that is trauma-informed for patients who identify as First Nations, Métis, or Inuit. Second one, enhance timely access to quality paramedic and ambulance services for rural and remote communities by increasing sustainable paramedic services. And the third, support the coordination of services to deliver improved outcomes for vulnerable populations experiencing homelessness or unhousedness. The conference looks really rich. There's much to celebrate. Selecting which of the workshops to attend looked very difficult. Lots of really interesting things. So thanks to the people from the support unit and the networks who planned this event. And on behalf of the ministry, again, my sincere thanks. I hope that you and we collectively can have a great day and emerge energized with new information and connections to advance this important work for the benefit of British Columbians and for the healthcare services that they and all of us depend on. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Victoria. So now we're going to welcome Monica Mamut. So Monica just returned from a parental leave just a few weeks ago, and I know that everybody's happy to have her back in place, especially in time for today's conference. Monica's the director of the BC Support Unit, and which is part of Health Research BC, and she leads national objectives for patient-oriented research in BC. Monica has extensive formal training and experience in the healthcare decision-making sphere. She began her career in research and progressed to board and executive responsibilities of patient and member-driven organizations in rare diseases and primary care in the national and provincial levels. She's passionate about bringing together data-driven strategy, people's lived experiences, and collaboration to foster ongoing engagement. Welcome, Monica.
Hello, everyone, and thank you, Kim. I'm incredibly grateful to be back and to be kicking off today's event as our annual Putting Patients First conference. Certainly, I would like to thank our conference planning committee, which included organizations who regularly engage people with lived experience in research. They are our Supporting Patient-Oriented Research, or SPORE, funded entities, including the BC Network Environment for Indigenous Health Research, or BC NEAR, the Canadian Primary Care Research Network, CanSolve, Child Bright, Health Data Research Network Canada, and Pastoral, our national training entity, and certainly with our team members from the BC Support Unit. So first, let's please join me in thanking our conference planning committee. You will see this incredible collaboration as reflected in our very diverse agenda, which, echoing Victoria's words, I'm going to have a really hard time picking which session to go to, so well done to the planning committee. This agenda explores a number of challenges and successes in patient-oriented research today. Today, I invite you to reflect on the impact of patient-oriented research in BC and in Canada. I hope that by the end of this conference, we will have moved closer to a shared future for research that engages people with lived and living experiences and shape our systems. Certainly, the best care is delivered by health systems that act on the needs of those served. That's why the BC Support Unit champions research that engages people with lived and living experience and helps put evidence to practice. Over the past few years, the BC Support Unit has been committed to improving health research with patients and communities at the center of our work. We partner researchers with patients and foster meaningful engagement. Over the past few years, we've supported the publishing of 133 scientific articles, with 1/3 of those articles being co-authored by patients. We make health data easier to access, partnering with the BC Ministry of Health to support the health data platform, which provides access to province-wide data in one secure location. We work with health authorities to build local capacity in patient-oriented research, funding positions in health authority research departments to engage people with lived experiences from all parts of BC. And we're certainly very grateful to partner and support Indigenous-led research initiatives including the support of 10 research development and knowledge mobilization grants for activities led by Indigenous communities, collectives, and organizations. The Putting Patients First conference is truly a provincial event, and one that we hope will be a flagship event for patients in the future. Each of you here today are part of a community that prioritizes the needs of patients, communities, and the public in health research. We work in many diverse areas, and so we're here to learn from one another and find ways to collaborate and strengthen patient-oriented research in BC. So I invite you, as we go through today's program, to really pause and reflect repeatedly. What are you learning? What is new? What is challenging you? And how are you going to take the next steps? How are you going to move the mark in patient-oriented research? Because together we'll build on each other's successes and make lasting changes to the health research system. Thank you.
Thanks, Monica. So now I'd like to welcome our patient partner representatives in BC, this is Anni Rychtera, Swapnil Shah, and Sherri Mytopher, who are here in person. And there's also Lynn Chen and Lisa Ridgway, who are joining us online. This group forms the Patient Partner Advisory Working Group, part of the Advisory Council for the BC Support Unit. And their contributions have been key in organizing today's events, and I can assure you, key in everything that the BC Support Unit does. So, welcome.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this event. I myself am a former healthcare provider and a health science educator, but I also have extensive experience as lived experience and living experience as a patient. Patient partners are willing to share their experience to this, and proud to contribute to improve healthcare for others. So we do it for the whole community and for the healthcare system to improve. That's why we volunteer to support health research, what includes the patient, the public, the communities, the caregivers, and work in collaboration with researchers, with healthcare providers, and decision makers. I'm here today with my patient partners, Swapnil Shah and Sherri Mytopher. We are part of the planning committee for this event, and actually most of us were part of the planning committee for the last 5 conferences we had. So we're patient partners pretty much since inception of the support unit, so long time experience. As Kim mentioned, we are patient partners in the working group, and also this includes Lynn Chen and Lisa Ridgway, who are online today, couldn't join us in person. As patient partners, we represent the different regions within BC and the different health authorities. We are members of the BC Support Unit Advisory Council. And like I said, was from the different regions. Swapnil is from Fraser Health. Sherri is from the northern part. Lisa Ridgway is from the island. And Lynn from Vancouver area, and myself are from the Interior Health. For us, it is really rewarding to see all this hard work. Like I said, since the beginning, we are part of this movement, and that all this hard work comes together, and to see the results of it and see all of you to participate here in the room as well as online. We heard from Victoria as well how important it is to bring people with lived or living experience to the table, to bring meaning to the health research, to ask the right questions, to find answers and outcomes who are meaningful to the people of British Columbia and Canada. When patients are part of the research team, that team gets the full support from the patients involved, and like I said, the outcomes are hopefully meaningful and make a change. 7 years ago, I was invited from the Canadian Institutes for Health Research to become a partner in rolling out the strategy for patient-oriented research. And that was a real life changer and game changer. I was early involved in my career in clinical research, and the interest was always there. So seeing the movement that finally the public gets involved and has a voice in health research is very empowering. We have made a lot of progress within this time, and I'm really excited for the future of patient engagement in health research. But there's still work to be done. This is why we are here today, not only to learn from the past, but really look at the future and think of how can we sustain the future of patient-oriented research to make it the norm and not the exemption. I'm really grateful to be part of this community and of the Putting Patient First conference to help highlight the patient needs, the value what we bring to the table with our lived experiences in health research as well as in healthcare. Thank you all.
Great, thank you. Now I'm going to ask all of the Monica and Victoria and the three who are just here just to gather, because I know that there's a desire to get a photo. While you guys are organizing that, I'm just going to carry on. First, I'm going to do a check. Is Elder Roberta? Not yet? Okay. All right, so we're going to move into our plenary session, and I'm going to just take a minute to give you a few housekeeping details. So first of all, this is a scent-free event. We're encouraging people to wear masks to protect themselves and others against respiratory illness. Masks and hand sanitizer are available at the reception desk if you would like to take advantage of those. A wellness room is available if you need a short, quiet, access to a quiet space for any reason. You can ask for details about that at the check-in desk. Some of the breakout sessions are on the 3rd level. We're just going to ask if you are going to go up to the 3rd level and you're able to take the stairs, to please take the stairs so that we can help people who need to use the elevators to have access to those. And the program and conference sessions are streamed on the Whova app, and you should have received some information about that over email. Please check the app for the agenda and remaining opportunities for breakout sessions and so on. There will be a survey link shared through the app, and I know that the organizers really appreciate the responses that you can provide to that survey. Data will be collected using a REDCap system, and of course I have to say, because I'm a data person, this is with strict attention to privacy, and with there's not going to be any personally identifiable information that's collected through all of that.